You're listening to the Cyberwire Network, powered by N2K.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to N2K Cyberwire's Hacking Humans podcast, where each week we look behind the social engineering scams, phishing schemes, and criminal exploits that are making headlines and taking a heavy toll on organizations around the world. I'm Dave Bittner, and joining me is Joe Kerrigan. Hey there, Joe.
Hi, Dave.
And our N2K colleague and host of the T-Minus Space Daily podcast, Maria Vermazis. Maria.
Hi, Dave, and hi, Joe.
We've got some great stories to share this week, but before we get to that, we have got a lot of follow-up. Actually, before we get to that, I feel like today we finally got the band back together.
Right, yeah.
I know. Here we are.
It's been a while since we've all been here.
Right, Maria was out, and then I was out, and Joe has been the stalwart regular.
For once.
The glue holding.
Thanks, you're holding it all together, Joe.
That's right.
We owe you.
That's right. Yeah. So we've got lots of follow-up this week. Why don't we, I'll tell you what, there's three things here, so why don't each of us take one? Joe, you want to take this first one?
Sure, I'll take the first one. It says, "Hi, Dave, Joe, and Maria. I love your show. You are part of my weekend routine. I listen to Hacking Humans while I clean my fish tanks."
Oh, I used to have fish tanks.
Me too.
Yeah.
I had a fish that lived like 15 years.
Wow.
One African cichlid.
Okay. I had some Oscars for a while. They were friendly.
There we go. Right down the rabbit hole.
So say chickens, fish. Okay, yes, we're doing this.
Oh, we'll get to chickens. Trust me.
This is a follow-up from your story on May 1st with the IC3 impersonations. I think that was a story I did.
I think so,
In that
yep.
story, you noted that the IC3 stated that they would never contact someone by phone, email, public forum, etc. And Joe wondered aloud how they would contact someone if they needed to. I've actually had that happen, and I have the answer. While the ICC will not contact you directly, they will pass the information to the local FBI field office, and an agent there will do the communication. As a CIO at a school, I once received an email from just such an FBI agent. I initially thought it was a scam, like all other emails from the FBI.
Yeah.
Go figure. That would be my first reaction, too.
Yeah.
Oh, the FBI doesn't want to talk to me. However, it was professional and well-written and seemed legitimate. I am in central New Jersey, and the agent said that he was from the Newark field office. I searched for that office and called the main number, which did match the number that he was given in the email, which is what you should do, right? Look it up in a trusted source. That's a good idea. And asked for the agent. It turned out that the email was real. He wouldn't give me any details, but he wanted to let us know about a vulnerability potentially applicable to us that the FBI has discovered during an investigation. The whole thing was very intriguing and very helpful. Okay, this seems to me like they are aware of somebody doing something and they're watching some network traffic where they're seeing this, whatever organization he's a CIO of whatever this school is, they're getting hit with something.
Right.
So he's letting them know that that's what's going on, but he can't give any details because it's an ongoing investigation. Anyway, I just wanted to pass along that information. That's actually how they make the contact. I learned not every email claiming to be from the FBI is necessarily fake. I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Thank you and keep up the good work. And that's from John.
All right. Terrific. Well, thanks, John, for sending that in. Our next bit of follow-up will be read by Maria. Go for it.
Okay. Hey, Dave, Joe, and Maria, I have a question about class action lawsuits. How can we verify these are legit when they appear in our mailbox or inbox? I hate to pass up free money due to corporate misconduct, also same, but my skeptical mind has a tough time filling out these legal forms and sending them off to some random place. How can I verify that I'm not sending my info to some scammer? The company being sued will not have the info posted on their website. When I look at the website they provide or search for it, I'm often taken to some specialized URL like Walmart class action lawsuit.offices of Bittner, Kerrigan, and Vermazis.com. Kudos to that. Which is exactly the sort of URL I'd create if I was going to start up a class action lawsuit scam. If you've already covered this, please direct me to the episode from Scott. I have the exact same question, actually. I get these in the mail all the time. And I've been sort of punting on these a lot of the times because they give me the ick, but it is free money and I kind of want it. So I don't know what the advice is here aside from yeah.
It's free money. It's never very much free money.
Right. It's like $5, right?
Right.
3 cents.
Yeah, but I understand what Scott's getting at here. So I did a little digging, and there are some places online where you can check out the legitimacy of the class action lawsuits themselves. And I'll have a link to a couple of these. There's classaction.org, which is kind of a clearinghouse database of all the class action lawsuits. And then there's the National Association of Attorneys General.org.
NAG.org.
NAG.org. Yeah, how about that?
Attorneys
Maybe
General. Yes.
They need a
Two A's.
they need a better marketing.
Nag.
But they have a database of multi-state settlements. So, which the bigger class action suits are often that. But so, I mean, that's a starting point. I think the point is a good one, that the URLs for these things are often very wacky. And so I think the skepticism is well warranted.
Yeah, I sometimes I only get these by email. Like they don't arrive. When they arrive in the mail, I'm maybe slightly more inclined to think this might be legitimate, but maybe.
Right.
But a lot of times I just get an email and I'm going, yeah, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess I would look around for coverage of that particular class action suit, because I do see quite often in press releases and so on, the links will be included there. And so maybe that's a more, at least if nothing more, it's a place to double check the link to see if you're onto something. But
fair enough.
yeah, I mean, the skepticism is warranted, but on the other hand, that's how they get you, because you're not going to go after your $10 because it might be a scam. And so it's not worth going after the $10, and then the lawyers just get the $10.
So we can't let the lawyers win, is what we're hearing. Okay, got it.
No, I mean, not if there's an alternative.
Yeah.
True.
Everybody hates lawyers until you need one,
Right.
right?
Fair.
I actually don't
Fair
hate
enough.
lawyers anymore. We have had need for lawyers recently, and I've really come to respect a lot of these people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
real estate. Really, really like having lawyers for a lot of that. Yes.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you, Scott, for sending that in. I will field our final bit of feedback this week. This is from Kenneth, who writes in and says, "Hi, Maria, Joe, and Dave. Is there an order in which I should greet you? Should I have included the chickens in the greeting?" Kenneth continues and says, "I was thinking all about your privacy is important, but not important enough for us to do basic cybersecurity hygiene instead of paying executives more." Letters that I and family members have received, especially from healthcare companies. We froze all credit reports back at the Equifax breach. The free credit monitoring from various breaches. There's a lot more here. I'm going to condense kind of what Kenneth is going at. Kenneth basically wants to know two questions. What is the market for private healthcare info for most citizens? In other words, who buys it and what do they do with it? That's an excellent question. I actually looked it up, and medical information is much more valuable than other information.
It is.
So, for example, and these numbers are all always, take it with a...
They're notional, to say the best,
There
to
you
say
go.
the least.
There you
Yeah,
That's a great way to put
putting
it. Social Security numbers sell for around $15. Credit card details sell for as little as $3. But medical information starts at around $60. Really? And the reasoning for that is medical information has a long shelf life. Your medical history does not change, where your credit card number can be canceled.
That's a good point.
Your
Man.
credit can be locked down. Your Social Security number is only worth so much. But for things like identity theft, also the research I did pointed to medical fraud and also extortion are ways that folks can come at you with your medical information. They could impersonate being you or get fake medical services. But also, let's say you've had some condition that you don't want anyone else to know about. They can come at you for that. So that makes the medical information a lot more valuable. Ken, the second question is, what, if any, personal behavior should we change on receipt of one of these letters? In other words, other than meeting breach disclosure laws, what is the use of such a letter? Well, I think Kenneth
Great
is
question.
exactly on the nose here.
Right.
There is no other use for this letter other than breach disclosure.
Right.
Yeah. What do I do with this letter?
Well,
it
you can
right in
use
the
that letter to
recycling
sign
bin.
up for your next year of free identity monitoring services, which we all get now all the time for free.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you can put it in your file for the inevitable class action lawsuit.
There you go.
That's
Full
coming
circle.
the following year. I mean, I think it's mostly a heads up kind of thing. To me, those letters provide you a data point for if you suddenly saw targeted attempts at identity theft. In other words, let's say there was a breach at, XYZ clinic where you have a lot of medical information, and suddenly you started getting information that said, hey, we really need you to log into your account at XYZ clinic, or, something related to that seems more of a coincidence. Just be mindful of that. Do you guys have any other insights on either of these questions?
I will tell you this, your doctor's office does not need your social security number. Don't give it to them. Because when they get breached, that'll be part of the breach. Your insurance company, you probably can't get away from doing that, but your doctor's office doesn't need it.
Maria, anything?
My only reflection is honestly, it just all feels very inadequate. The question of what do I do with this information always comes up for me as well. And we touched on this a bit last week. There isn't much, and that just doesn't feel great. And there should be something else that we could do, and there isn't. And there's no point that I'm trying to get to aside from I don't like that.
No. I mean, I guess big picture, write your Congress people, ask for more robust privacy laws and penalties for these sorts of things. Other than that, move to Europe.
Yep.
Yeah.
And enjoy the warm embrace of GDPR. All right. Thank you, Kenneth, for writing in. And of course, we would love to hear from you. If there's something you'd like us to share on the show, you can email us. It's hackinghumans@n2k.com. And now, a few thoughts from our sponsors at ThreatLocker. The tactics used by cyber criminals are becoming more and more advanced every day. The shift from a default allow approach to a default deny is more critical than ever. This is where ThreatLocker comes in. Stay tuned for how ThreatLocker allow listing and ring fencing has your back. All right, let's get to our stories here. Joe, you want to kick things off for us?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about two things. Last week, Dave, you missed it, but I talked about some influencer fakery that happens online with weights. And when I talked about that in my office mate, Michelle, who is a listener to the show, she enjoys the show.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, she said, you know what else they have? They have fake private jet sets.
Oh,
So
I've seen these. Yes.
You can, whenever you see an influencer sitting on a private jet, they're not sitting on a private jet. They're on some set, maybe in LA. That's where they seem to be centered. But you can actually Google where around me there are some. Where, are there any of these around me? There are plenty of these around. You have to go, Maria, there's one in Boston. I found one in Boston.
Oh,
so you can take a picture for as little as $45 an hour. With a 1 hour minimum, you can go into a set that looks just like a Learjet. There's even fake jets outside the window. So, or you can have it so that they have clouds outside of the window, so it looks like you're flying.
I should record an episode of Hacking Humans from there.
Right.
Next time, I'll record from there.
I saw one incident of this where someone made it appear as though they were on a jet plane going somewhere, and basically they had imitated the look of the jet window by using a toilet seat. Right? Because it's the same shape.
Right.
And it's white plastic.
Yep.
And so by just showing the edge of it, the curve of the edge of a toilet seat, and then beyond the toilet seat was a picture of the sky. and they're kind of holding a drink up like, oh, here I am in first class on my way somewhere fancy.
Right.
Yeah, so.
But they're just sitting next to a toilet seat.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I would
basement.
say the least fancy thing you can do.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Horse
Let's class
perspective
up
is
the
a pretty
joint. Bring me my
amazing
toilet seat.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was amazed to see that. And again, that was something that didn't occur to me that these people do. They just take fake pictures. And since seeing that, I've seen a picture of somebody, I think it was on Instagram or something. I was, I don't know why I was there, but I was there. And there's a picture of a lovely young woman sitting on a plane. And I'm like, it's probably fake. Probably fake. You can even get a picture of yourself walking into a plane at these sets. Some of them are actually like fuselages.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's amazing. Don't believe anything you see from these influencers. They're up to no good.
All right.
So that's the first thing.
Yeah.
It's just more of my bemoaning the influencer mindset. The other one is I want to talk about, this actually comes from a news organization, and I can't remember which one it is, KENS 5, KENS 5, and it's written by Jimmy Baker. The scammers follow the news cycle. And when they follow the news cycle, have you guys been getting any news? Like I watch the news in the morning when I get up and I'm drinking my coffee. The latest thing that I've seen multiple times is that the Real ID requirements are coming into play now.
Yeah.
So what this is you have to have an identification that meets Real ID requirements, which is a federal requirement, to be able to board a plane now.
Yeah.
And our IDs here in Maryland have actually been compliant for a while.
Okay, I was going to ask you. I have no idea if my ID is Real ID requirement, so that's a relief.
Right. Well, I'm going to tell you.
I feel like for our non-U.S. listeners, we should probably explain what this is, because in a lot of countries, they have a national ID, but we don't have a standardized national ID in the U.S., and every state's driver's license is different.
It's different.
So this is sort of an attempt to streamline that with this standard called Real ID. But it's been a mess, and they've delayed it many years. There's a lot of states just
I
can't
think they're
get
done
there.
delaying it.
Yeah, I think, but it's been like over a decade of delay or
see.
something.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll see.
We'll
That's a
see
good
how
point.
compliance goes. Yeah.
So there is a form of national ID in the United States. It's a passport, and that's about it. But every country has a passport, and you don't need a passport. Nobody. If you are pulled over by a police officer here, they will never ask you for a passport.
Yeah, but there's no thing that every single American citizen has that you can reliably say that everyone's got one. Whereas a lot of countries, there is a national ID that everybody gets.
Yep. Right. And for the Real ID, it's more of a standard. Like your state driver's license or ID card must have the following features, like a hologram. It's got to have 2 pictures of the person, and it's got to have some anti-counterfeiting things. Well, the scammers know. The scammers know that this is a news story that's making the rounds. So guess what they're doing? Capitalizing on it.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
How
the
else?
liturgical calendar now adds the Real ID in there.
Right. Well, I would say this is not something that would go on the liturgical calendar, because this is like a once in a lifetime kind of event, right? This is not something that happens cyclically, not every year. But it is a news event that they're actually going to follow, and it starts with some kind of phishing email where scammers use fake emails, text messages, or even contacting you on social media, which I would be shocked to see the Maryland Motor Vehicle Administration try to reach out to me on social media. And they say, hey, we are trying to catch up with you. You need to get your ID, make it become a real ID, and then they're going to send me to some web page that actually looks legitimate, but of course is fake, and then it's just the regular scamming from there on out. This is really, we're just talking about the hook here.
Yeah.
There are ways you can check to see if your ID is Real ID compliant. So, Dave, there's actually a tool. If you follow any of the links that anybody links to, our amazing Maryland government has changed this webpage, so none of those older links work anymore. You actually have to go to the Maryland Motor Vehicle Administration's webpage and search for Real ID, and you can enter your driver's license number, and we'll tell you if you have a Real ID. And I do have a Real ID.
Okay. All
I'm
right.
good,
Well,
ready
that's
to go. I don't know about Massachusetts, Maria. I'm sorry I didn't check.
Yeah, no, I was going to say our state IDs, our driver's licenses were not Real ID compatible. So in the last X number of years, I can't really remember, there's been this huge push, at least where I live, to get people to go back to the RMV, bring a whole bunch of documentation with you so you can get a new license that is now Real ID compliant. And there are so many stories of people showing up with their documentation and they find out that it's not the real thing or it's not the right stuff and they have to wait hours and they have to keep going back. It's partially part of the reason why I think this thing has been delayed. And especially if you're in a state where your driver's license is like a piece of paper that's been laminated, trying to get from that to like a card is a whole thing. Yeah.
I'm trying to understand this. Are you saying that your motor vehicle administration is not the epitome of government efficiency? That it's not a pleasant place to spend an afternoon?
No, and the lines are extra long now because everyone's trying to rush and get these things done.
Clamoring to get their Real ID.
But in fairness, I want to actually be fair to the people. The DMV, I don't think I've ever said this in my life. People are also not really understanding what's required of them. So they're showing up with the wrong stuff or not enough stuff. I mean, when I had to get mine done, I want to say 5 years ago, I follow the rules. I got it done pretty efficiently. But there are a lot of people around me who just kind of showed up with their license and said, give me a Real ID. And they just didn't read anything. They didn't understand. So, there's plenty of blame to go around, but it's been a mess.
So now that I have my Real ID, do I need another, like, Social Security number, card, and tax return, and something that says, yeah, he lives there, or do I have the Real ID and that's sufficient? Can I get a new license with that? That's a good question.
You need a realer ID.
A realer ID.
And then there's the realist, the Pokemon evolution of your driver's license. Yes.
So again, here we are. Remember, scammers watch the news. If you see something pop up like this, and just because you saw it on the news, that actually should be a reason to give you pause and go, well, wait a minute. Let me think about this for a second. I need to actually go to the state organization that does this and look up whether or not I have a Real ID. There are no fines to pay. If you don't have there's no financial penalty for not having a Real ID. So.
Right, you won't be able to board a plane, though.
Right. That's what I'm waiting for, is when it comes into effect, how strict are they going to be? And because as soon as people start getting turned away from airplanes, all hell's going to break loose.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. Because people are already wound up enough at the airport of trying to get through security and all that good stuff.
This seems like somebody looked at an airport and said, how can I make that worse?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
A family of 8 on their way to Disney for that long-awaited vacation, only to be turned away because they had the wrong ID. I can hear the headlines now. Yep. I know, it's just coming. You just know it.
It's going to be a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I have a story, but we're running long, so I'm not going to share it.
I also had something I was going to say, but I'll shut up too.
All right. Okay. I'll tell you what, let's move on to Maria's story. What do you got for us this week, Maria?
All right, I'll try to move through mine pretty quickly. May 8th is apparently Scam Survivor Day, which I just wanted to highlight first because I did not know that. I've been getting emails from the U.S. National Cybersecurity Alliance about this. They have a really interesting push about fighting fraud shame, which is a really great phrase. And great term that I think our listeners would be really interested in maybe incorporating into their world. And they have a blog post that we'll link to that I thought was very useful about helping people with fraud shame. So people who've been victims of fraud. We talk about this a lot on the show, how to mitigate, like not making them feel ashamed because, again, it's not their fault what's happened. So there are a couple really nice tips in there, but there's one that I just wanted to read because I just thought the verbiage was great. If you are the victim of cybercrime, report it. It doesn't matter if you feel ashamed about it. You are a victim and you deserve help. Losing money and data is not the price of admission for the internet. I thought that was such a great phrase.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, just going to tattoo that on my forehead. It's not the price of admission for the internet. If this happens to you, it's not your fault. And definitely report it. So yeah, just thought that was awesome. So we'll definitely link that blog post for people. So a story for us to discuss. This one came from actually Joe Wilkins at Futurism, but also via Joe Kerrigan at Hacking Humans, who sent this to me. So thanks, both Joes. And this was a highlight of the book that came out last month called Careless People by Sarah Wynne Williams. Have y'all heard about this book? It's been in a few news cycles because she's a former
This is
Facebooker.
this is the woman who worked at Facebook, right? So
Yes.
sort of an expose.
Yeah, yet another one of those. I worked there when I didn't realize it was as evil as it was, and I saw some nasty stuff behind the scenes, and I'm going to tell you everything now that I'm very clear of the shrapnel. So that's
Right,
I'm a little
right.
cynical about these kinds of books because it's like, really? But she was at Facebook from 2011 to 2017. At some point in her career there, she was their public policy director. And this book, like many of these tell-alls about Facebook, has a lot of confirmation of what has either been known or suspected for some time. And by the way, I just re-upped my Facebook account that has been dormant for 5 years. So the timing on this was just horrible because I'm going, I'm back
reopened
again.
it?
God. I had to because of my kids' school stuff. There's literally no other way for me to find out what the heck's going on. And you can't even get past that wall now that says you have to have an account. So I'm just like, okay, I can't even read it anymore. So I had to re-up my old account, and they drew me back in. So as for the revelations from Wynne Williams, some of these go beyond even what I had suspected. And as you both know, I'm pretty cynical about this stuff. So things like tracking user locations, likes, and interests, that's child's play. We knew that. Monitoring mood based on interactions, posts and comments, words used, par for the course, I think we all would assume. Looking for specific words, especially ones that indicate the person writing it is in significant emotional distress. Serving up ads to take advantage of that distress, exploiting human vulnerability, hacking a human. Yes.
My God.
Yes, they do that too. The one that was really new to me that is getting some headlines is, according to Wynne Williams, Facebook was also tracking when adolescent girl users, why are they on Facebook? Different question, but adolescent girl users deleted their own selfies and then served them beauty ads to them at that same moment. So I had to sort of let that one marinate a second. So I'm just imagining they've uploaded a selfie and they've noticed that they've got like a double chin or lacking that certain glow that they're looking for. Here you go. Please buy this very expensive face cream. It's just beyond icky. And again, we've covered allegations of stuff like this for many years. None of this is going to necessarily shock people of its kind, but I think the specificity is always just makes me stop and go, what the heck? Some of these allegations were surfaced back in 2017 in a news report by The Australian. And then when that came out, Facebook actually released a counter report saying, we dispute those allegations and they were misleading. And Wynne Williams says when that came out, all the people who were fired as a result of that 2017 report were let go for basically doing exactly what they were employed to do. So they were the fall guys. And meanwhile, the company was still working on making the micro targeting that they had said that they were going to distance themselves from. They were going to make it available to the advertisers themselves and not just Facebook. So allegedly, according to the book, standard disclaimers here, but he's right. Joe, when you sent me this, I was like, I don't want to talk about this, but I think we should.
Yeah, but I think you kind of have to.
You kind of have to, but bleh.
Yeah. I wonder if, and this is not an original idea, but that, if we put social media in the same category that we put pornography, a Playboy
Cigarettes.
magazine that you got to be 18 to use it. Kids shouldn't be using this stuff because it's demonstrably dangerous.
Yep.
And all these bad things come out of it, and the companies are demonstrably despicable when it comes to targeting the children.
Yes, they are.
So let's keep them off of it.
Don't trust them as far as you can throw them. I mean, just keep it really arm's length. Yeah.
Yuck.
It's just, thanks, Joe.
Sorry, Maria.
This is your fault, Joe.
It probably is.
Yeah, when I responded to you, I was like, gross. But yeah, I'll cover it.
But not too gross for me to use for my story this week.
It's great content, Joe. Thanks.
Right. All right, we will have a link to that in the show notes. I'll tell you what, before we get to our next story, let's take a quick break to hear a message from our show sponsor. So let's return to our sponsor, ThreatLocker. ThreatLocker is a zero-trust endpoint protection platform that strengthens your infrastructure from the ground up. Where traditional cybersecurity tools require you to create a list of things you don't want to run, ThreatLocker enables you to easily curate an allow list of everything you need in your environment and network, and block everything else by default. With ThreatLocker allow listing and ring fencing, you gain a more secure approach to blocking exploits of known and unknown vulnerabilities. ThreatLocker provides zero trust control at the kernel level that enables you to allow everything you need and block everything else, including ransomware. The ThreatLocker Zero Trust Endpoint Protection Platform deploys in a learning mode that analyzes the operations of your company using machine learning to assist you in developing your allow list for approved applications, what they can do on the endpoint, what can interact with your data, and even east and west network traffic. We thank ThreatLocker for sponsoring our show. And we are back. My story this week comes from the folks over at Cybersecurity News, and this is about fake social security statements. So this is research from the folks over at Malwarebytes, a cybersecurity company. They have found a campaign that is targeting Americans via emails that seem to come from the Social Security Administration. And the messages tell people that their social security statement is ready to download.
Which, by the way, I got one of these the other day, and I thought to myself, I got to take a look at that because, like, every 2 years, if you have a Social Security Administration account, you get this email.
Yeah,
this happens for real.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my plan is not to click on any links in the email, but rather go to ssa.gov and log in with my account. I'm going to check my email, see if I have it right now. Go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, so the file, so they're asking you to open a file. And of course, the file is not a statement. The emails look legit. They have all the appropriate Social Security Administration branding, the formatting, everything. But under the hood, there are executable files. And these executable files install an app called Screen Connect, which is a legit remote access tool.
No.
But once installed, it gives attackers the keys to the kingdom, full control over your machine. This is linked to a group that the researchers have dubbed Molotari, which is named after the sketchy domains they use, like @molotari.icu and gomolotari.cyu. I don't know what a CYOU domain is. I don't know where that leads to. Yeah. And they're after the usual things: personal data, financial information, all that stuff. They are compromising WordPress sites to distribute the emails, which makes them look like they come from trusted sources. And they embed the email text as images to try to get past email filters. So once the Screen Connect software is up, they've got your machine. They're remotely controlling your machine. So they can run scripts, they can steal files, they can install more malware. And Screen Connect is a real tool. So it can slip past your antivirus because there are situations where it's legit. So the notion here is don't trust an email just because it's got a federal logo. Do what Joe does, which is if you get one of these emails, go to Social Security Administration's website and just log in from there. Don't click on any links in any emails.
Yep. You can also go to socialsecurity.gov. And actually, this email actually looks legit. So
the one you got?
The one I got, yeah. Looks like it's actually from the Social Security Administration. So this is what bugs me about this. I mean, I don't blame the Social Security Administration for this. I mean, these hackers these hackers, they're phishers. They're not even hackers. These guys are just, they're just capitalizing on other things. This might be part of the liturgical calendar.
Might be.
I don't know.
I think it might also be taking advantage of some fear in the news cycles about things that might be going on with Social Security and access to it being diminished or getting messed up because of stuff going on. So I know there's been a lot of that in my family circles discussion about make sure you have backups of those statements in case data goes away. So I think they might be capitalizing on that. Maybe.
Yeah, little extra anxiety there makes you curious. I was thinking too, like, Joe and I are a little closer to this becoming a real thing, a real need and concern than you are, Maria. We're
Well,
a little
maybe,
closer
maybe.
to those years where keeping an eye on where you stand in terms of your Social Security just for financial planning
Right. You need
is
to
a
know.
necessary thing. Yeah. Yeah. 10 years from now or 15 or in Joe's case, next month.
No. More like 20, 30, I don't know. At what time do they just start sending you the check because they have to?
Right.
Right.
Listen, sir, you can no longer put this off. You have to take this government money,
Right.
whether you like
And
it
they
or
do
not.
force
Oh,
you
I-
at a certain point.
They do. I
Joe.
think it's 72 years old now.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's at a certain age they make you get on Medicare and they make you take Social Security benefits, and they also make you withdraw from your tax deferred retirement accounts like your IRA or your 401k.
Okay. Interesting.
All that happens.
All right.
And I think it happens around 72.
Okay. Well, very good.
Tell us when you find out, Joe. It's fine.
That's right.
I'll let you know in at least another.
So we'll look forward to that on our next episode.
No, I'm not that old. Come on. I know my hair is all gone gray. I still got a couple good decades in me, Dave.
Oh, Grandpa Joe. Grandpa. Only one of us on this show is a grandparent.
Yes.
All right, let's move on.
And I love my grandchildren.
Before-
They're all beautiful.
Before Joe starts throwing things. All right, Joe, Maria, it is time to move on to our catch of the day.
Dave, our catch of the day comes from a listener named Richard. And it is an email that comes from the Chevrolet Motor Truck Company.
Richard, in Richard's email, Richard said, I've got pure gold for you guys. And Richard was not overselling it.
No.
Here it goes. It says, Form Chevrolet Motor Truck Company. I'm Lena of Chevrolet Motor Truck, and I am writing to inform you about your Chevrolet Motor Truck winning that brought by the United Embassy, which has been on our office for so long due to the pandemic virus. We could not deliver the Chevrolet truck and your funds worth on $30 billion USD. Now it has settled down slowly. The government of USA in the White House, Michigan, the Chevrolet Motor Truck have been mandated to be delivered to your address as soon as possible. Thanks. God bless you.
And also with you.
Yeah, that's right.
Not a single piece of punctuation to be found.
Right, yeah.
No. It's one
No.
big run-on sentence.
Can you fit $30 billion in a Chevrolet motor truck?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I'd like to know. $30 billion, your funds of $30 billion. Who's going to believe? I'm getting angry about this, but somebody is going to believe it. $30 billion. Do you have any idea how much money that is?
That's a lot.
It's a lot of money.
I would like to know. If somebody wants to give me some so I could find out, I would be very happy.
Right. If you want to take the bullet and figure out if $30 billion will fit in the back of a Chevrolet truck. The thing is, if somebody gives you $30 billion, they can keep the truck because you can go and buy a truck for a small percentage of
Right.
the $30 billion. You could buy every Chevrolet truck coming off the line.
Possibly the entire company.
Right. Oh my
Let's see,
God.
$30 million in $1 bills would weigh 66,000 pounds. So $30 billion in $100 bills would weigh 660,000 pounds
Okay.
in $100 bills.
That would exceed the carrying capacity of your average
Yeah,
Chevrolet
You
truck.
would need a dump truck full of money is what you need. I don't even know you can carry that much in a dump
need
truck.
like a freight train.
Yeah, I mean, that's a
full of
lot
money.
of weight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just
This
you need
is very
larger
silly.
denominations. Yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, $100 is the largest one they have, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I don't think there are any regularly minted bills that are bigger than 100 anymore. That's the one Montgomery Burns had.
Right? That's right. The $1 trillion bill.
Yeah.
Well, that's very nice. Can I see it?
Yeah. Again, this is very silly, but delightfully so. I really am trying to reverse engineer how this came to be. This word salad. Like, what was this run through that this was generated somewhere? It must have been through automation.
Speech to text.
Obviously. Yeah, not well. That's a
Like
good guess. I mean,
voice to text
but
kind of thing. Yeah.
maybe voice to text in another language and then translated.
Maybe.
But how
Yeah.
do they misspell pandemic as pandemic? That's
Yeah.
the only misspelled word, and it's a very interesting typo.
Right.
When I've gotten spam like this, it often is just the text with literally nothing else. So there's no phone number, no email, no attachment. Maybe Gmail, in my case, stripped it all out. But I love it when I get this and it's literally just this text. And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
thanks for this random message that I can do nothing with if I was going
Right.
to fall for it. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do.
This did have an email address to follow up with, but I mean, talk about pre-filtering somebody who's ready to be hooked. I mean, that's the sad reality of this. That
You must
probably
receive
are.
this $30 billion. It's been mandated.
Right.
Okay.
Right. All right. Well, Richard, you tell no lies. This was pure gold.
It
so
was great.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
sending it in. I think that's the most fun one we've had in a while. And of course, we would love to hear from you. If there's something you'd like us to include for our catch of the day, you can email us. It's hackinghumans@n2k.com. And of course, we want to thank this week's sponsor, ThreatLocker. Go to threatlocker.com/HH and check out their Zero Trust Endpoint Protection Platform. That's the words threat and locker with no space.com/HH, where you can request a demo and neutralize the threat of malware running on your devices. And that is our show, brought to you by N2K Cyberwire. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. Your feedback ensures we deliver the insights that keep you a step ahead in the rapidly changing world of cybersecurity. If you like our show, please share a rating and review in your favorite podcast app. Please also fill out the survey in the show notes or send an email to hackinghumans@n2k.com. This episode is produced by Liz Stokes. Our executive producer is Jennifer Eiben. We're mixed by Elliot Peltzman and Trey Hester. Peter Kilpie is our publisher. I'm Dave Bittner.
I'm Joe Kerrigan.
And I'm Maria Varmazis.
Thanks for listening.